Dad's buying R8s and Lloyd's buying mattresses.
Yeah, getting the same amount of joy from it. Just much cheaper.
Why do you wear the same black hat for 3 years?
Guess what colour hat I've got on, listeners?
We're just a couple of business anchors. Welcome to the Business Anchors podcast. This jingle is slightly too long. This jingle is slightly too long.
Welcome to episode 22 of the Business Anchors podcast, the world's #1 marketing podcast that has brothers as hosts. In this episode, I'll be teaching our lovely listeners how to be happy. We'll be talking about if money can buy you happiness. And we'll also be discussing my charity work, as it's been at least 3 episodes since I told everyone I'm a great person. Hey!
Finally got there. Take 4 of you reading something off a bit of paper.
Oh, yeah. Do the listeners know? Yeah, that's the only bit that we read. You probably know that because it sounds different. But I was rubbish at reading then.
Yeah.
But
got there in the end.
Yeah, I did, didn't I?
So I think it's going to be an interesting one, Lloyd.
Hopefully.
Because you've had a bit of a revelation since. How many episodes ago did we talk about your mental health? It was 2?
2 or 3?
Yeah, 2 or 3. And I remember after that, I can't remember how long after, but we went pre-lockdown, we went to the pub.
Yes,
and
that's one of the last times we could have.
Yeah. And we had a really interesting chat and about your revelation. And I thought, we thought it'd be good to talk about it here.
Yeah.
Tell us more.
We did. So, hook yourself in for listening to a lot of Lloyd this episode. The last episode, you spoke a lot, actually. I don't know if you remember recording that. Do you remember recording that?
Oh, it was, yeah, I think so.
Do you remember? Yeah, 5 minutes ago in different clothes. And, yes.
You had a jumper on?
I had a jumper on. But yeah. Yeah, so we went to the pub and I told you, and you were very happy with it.
I was over the moon.
You looked over the moon when I told you.
I was absolutely ecstatic.
I think you literally shouted, "Yes, yes," because you're so happy that I'd worked this out.
That sounds really sad, doesn't it?
Yeah, as we said before, if you haven't listened to the episode, again, weird, you skipped to this one. But I was, unusually for me, I had a bit of a time where I was feeling not very happy. And it was really affecting a lot of stuff. And it was just very strange because I'm normally a very happy person.
Yeah.
And
we spoke about it on the podcast.
And I didn't know what had caused it, why I was feeling like that. So it was a bit weird. And that was the last kind of update I think we gave you, Anchors, that I was feeling better but didn't really know why I felt like that before and stuff. But
You found out why?
Yeah, there was just... I had a chat with my wife, Sarah, about stuff. And I suddenly realised... exactly why I was not feeling happy. So
interesting.
I realised that I was basically trying to be the best person ever in a lot of ways, and I'm not the best person ever.
You're not perfect.
No. So and I ended up trying to be a good person in so many different ways that I was basically beating myself up and the people around me because I wasn't the perfect person. So just to try and make it clear what I'm talking about. So I was trying to be the perfect husband and dad, trying to be the best business person and brother working with you, Dan, trying to be the best boss, which obviously the guys in here will tell you definitely was succeeding at that one. But I was also like trying to be the best
planet person. Yeah,
eco-friendly planet person, and like not and reusing everything and never having any waste or using any plastic and stuff. Trying to be the world's best vegan, even though I hated being vegan.
You're just trying to do everything, weren't you?
And all this, and basically, you might think, people listening, by the way, you might think, well, that's not hard to do. Just don't eat meat and be friendly to the planet and be a good dad. It may be easy for some people, but I was struggling to live up to my own expectations in all those areas of my life, basically. I think because I was trying so much, I was failing at a lot.
Do you know what that ties in with?
What?
That thing we spoke about before, expectation versus reality equals happiness. That just made me realise your expectation of yourself was so high that your reality was so much lower. So that gap made you I don't know, do you think that's a good analysis?
Yeah, definitely. And I was basically spreading myself so thin in all the areas that I wanted to be really good at that I was failing at a lot of them. And it got to the point as well, like it was affecting my home life and things. And don't get me wrong, like, in no way do I think I was like a terrible husband or anything. But it got to things like, so my wife would take my son to McDonald's as a treat, and then I'd judge her for because Leo's got a new plastic toy, or and he's eating.
You are a terrible person.
And he's eating processed foods, and so she kind of be like, they come back, I've been to McDonald's, and I'd kind of.
What are you doing?
No, obviously I'm not like that. I would never be like, what the hell?
To your room.
Yeah, I was just, but there was
something
a bit
inside
of
you
like,
that was
I don't know, like kind of
resentment
resentment of like, oh, I'm trying to be this, and you're feeding him chicken nuggets and giving him plastic, and obviously Sarah was just being a lovely mum and treating our son, and he was having a great time. So things like that where I reflect on it, and I'm kind of like, I was trying to be this, and it was obviously negative for people around me, and it wasn't nice feeling like that towards the person that I loved the most in the world.
How did you come to that realization? Because I guess other people might be listening to this thinking they feel down sometimes and not very good. I know it's not like a one size fits all, but is there anything you did or that you think could help other people?
I just suddenly realized, after talking with Sarah, I suddenly realized that like I can still try and be a good person in these areas. So I can still not eat loads of meat, and I can still not throw away loads of plastic in the sea. But I realised that the little things, so like Leo going to McDonald's 4 times a year and getting a plastic toy is a very small thing that doesn't matter. And I was putting so much value on that of this bit of plastic. And then it was affecting probably the next 24 hours. This sounds so weird saying it.
No, but
the next 24 hours, I would be feeling really negative. This terrible thing's happened.
Yeah.
There's this extra bit of plastic in our house.
Yeah.
And it sounds crazy even saying it. And like I said, I wasn't walking around going, "Ugh, plastic in our house." Blah.
Yeah.
But I was. That did
did
get me down, which is so weird. And then like I eat a cheese sandwich. And I'm thinking, oh, you terrible person. Well, you should be vegan, and that's an animal product. Yeah. And don't get me wrong, all these things I still want to work on. I'm not just like, I'm happy being a terrible person.
Yeah.
But I was making these small things out to be massive.
So if you kind of lowered your expectation in terms of like understanding what's possible, lowered so the gap's smaller.
Yes, yeah.
Between
I still the same things are still important to me and stuff. So I'm not just gonna eat a Big Mac and then throw the wrapper in the sea. Because that would be weird.
Yeah, that would be drive all the way to the beach.
But I've tried to kind of lower my expectations in all the areas of my life, and realizing that I don't have to be perfect to be doing a good job, I guess. And also realizing that the negative side of trying to be perfect in those things was far greater. Like I was being a worse dad and husband and brother and everything.
Yeah.
Because
of
something.
Yeah, you were fine. In my perspective.
No, I heard that.
I was saying, I understand.
So yeah, very weird. You listeners, you might be listening to this thinking I'm just crazy, and I probably am a bit.
Honestly, how happy I was when you had this revelation, because I kind of got a sense of that. And for you to actually sort of say it, I was like, it's brilliant that you've...
Yeah. And I'm very... It was like a light switch in my head, suddenly realising that I'd been making small things into such massive things that I was like, oh yeah, I don't have to be unhappy for 48 hours because I haven't recycled that. But I should try and recycle as much as I can.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was good. And just to confirm to the listeners, I am a brilliant person. So, just in case you're wondering, you might be thinking, oh, Lloyd isn't perfect.
Yeah, he is perfect.
I am. I'm absolutely perfect. But, I try and bring myself down to, be down with everyone. And
so, talking of happiness, our dad's had another midlife crisis.
Yeah. Well, it's a bit... does Mum know yet?
Oh, he did
She
say...
she doesn't listen, does she?
No, she doesn't listen to the podcast.
Okay.
We can say it.
Cool.
So what we got a message on a couple of days ago
Yeah.
from Dad.
Yeah.
he sent us a link to this. It's an R8, an Audi R8 convertible Spider with a Lamborghini engine, and he said, "I'm buying this on Friday. Don't tell Mum."
He will tell our mum, by the way. He's not a terrible person. I think he just was building himself up to it.
But it got me thinking, like, he gets, because he's currently got an R8 but not a convertible one, and he gets so much joy out of polishing the exhausts at the weekend that we take the mick out of him. But I was thinking, when he messaged us that, and like the amount of joy he gets out of just it being in the garage and tinkering with it, it made me think, like, do you get joy out of external things like that?
Well, I used to think, like, no, physical things can't make you happy, all this stuff.
Yeah.
And then, like, firstly looking at Dad, like, I used to think, like, God, spending all that money on cars. Why are you doing that? It doesn't matter. It's just a thing.
Yeah.
But now actually seeing, like, Dad gets
his
so
joy,
much happiness out of just looking at the car that he has. And like Dan said, polishing his exhaust.
Polishes an exhaust.
Not a euphemism. And going in the garage, like, he just, goes up the garage. Oh, just gonna go to garage, and he just kind of polishes a random bit of his car. And he comes back in so happy. Oh, did it tell you it's got whatever engine? It's like, yes, 12 times. So I do think that
because it's interesting, because that goes against, like, a lot of people compare external and intrinsic kind of motivational factors and say that external things like buying nice cars, like that, buying nice houses, watches, clothes, is you're doing it because you want external validation, and that's short term. Whereas if you look, like Steve Bartlett spoke about this on his recent podcast about motivation, you should be looking to achieve intrinsic goals to be motivated. And it kind of resonated with me, because going to the gym, I now have an intrinsic thing of, like, I want to do more weights and get stronger, and each week, now it's all gone to pot because I can't go to the gym because of COVID, but each week I was like, internally I want to lift more weight rather than the kind of external thing of. But I think when I was younger, I would be doing it for the get a better body for girls and stuff. But now I'm, But is there anything you've bought that's made you feel? You bought your mattress that we spoke about last. Did that make you feel good?
Yeah. I think they're genuine. Like I said, I used to be like, oh no, nothing can.
Dad's buying R8s and Lloyd's buying mattresses.
Yeah, getting the same amount of joy from it, just much cheaper. But I think it's easy from a privileged position. So I see us as very privileged. We're living in the UK, firstly, and can afford to buy new mattresses. Like, that makes us privileged in the scheme of things of the world. And it's easy to say, oh no, money can't buy you happiness. And it's like, but we've got enough stuff to feel happy. And I can't remember what you asked me, but I do think, like, in this position, it's easy to say, oh no, it doesn't. Okay.
Whereas if you were
put you in a horrible 1-bedroom flat that's going mouldy, and you're working 2 jobs, and then tell that person, no, money doesn't buy you happiness.
Yeah,
and they're
I think
like,
you're right. We're saying that from a privileged position, whereas we're not in the thing like, oh, you can't afford food this week.
Yeah,
it's like money would buy me happiness because I'd be able to eat and survive.
Yes, and you take the stress away of. I think once you've got enough money for what you kind of the life you live, it doesn't matter how much more you have.
Yeah.
Like, if you need £1,000 a month to do what you want to do to be happy, if you've got 1,000 or 10,000 a month, I don't think it necessarily makes you any happier.
Yeah.
But if you need £500 a month to get the things to survive and be happy, and you're struggling because once your rent's paid, and your food, you've got £3, it's a very different story.
I do disagree a little bit.
Oh, all right.
No, only the fact that you said having more wouldn't make you happy. I think it would, but it would be short-term happiness. Like, if you had your amount that keeps you going, but then this month you got an extra 100 grand and you bought I don't know what you'd like the most incredible
and
garden and plants and stuff. That you'd have a short, and it probably for a bit longer, but eventually that would dwindle off and you wouldn't care as much. But you would have an extra bit of happiness, I think. But then I don't know if that wouldn't last, would it?
I think it is short term though, because I feel like you get used to whatever you have.
Yes.
Like you get a new car, a new phone, a new leather jacket. Don't know why. Never had a leather jacket. But like you get that joy and you think like, this is so cool.
Yeah.
And the first time you drive the car, you're like, this is cool.
Yeah.
Or the first time you wear the leather jacket. And once you've had that for 3 years, you don't get that. It's just normal. Once
you wear the same black hat for 3 years.
Guess what colour hat I've got on, listeners? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd come back to that thing and just go, yeah. Oh no.
I spoke about this 2 episodes when Lloyd went through a stage of the podcast.
Interesting. What do you think, viewers? Please let us know if you're on social media. Does money buy happiness? And give us a rating and stuff. Thanks.
Yeah. No, Lloyd's not reading for his notes at all.
No, I'm definitely not seeing what else we've got to speak about. Dan, just wondering, have you ever had a call with a lady that makes you feel so good after having one of those days?
You idiot. Funny you asked that, Lloyd.
Right.
So, oh God, we need to get better at these segues and make it. But anyway, so
I was just wondering.
So, a bit of a story. Last week, I spoke at a virtual event, Janet Murray's event, and it was really good. And after the event, I had a number of messages from people saying, "Oh, we'll have a chat to see if we can work together." And set up one call with a lady who called, and immediately just listening to her, what she did in her situation, her kind of company, I sort of knew that it was probably a company that was not the right fit, but in terms of the budget and things, it wasn't going to work at all. And she sort of started talking about budget and what can you do to help with this amount. And I said, let's just park that for 1 minute and let's ask. And I asked her, like, what are your challenges you're facing in terms of why you want us to help you? And we talked through for like half an hour on, she was talking about her challenges and stuff. And I actually provided some good practical advice. I think I did. It felt like I did. And this was about 2:00 in the afternoon. I'd had one of those days where you feel like you've done loads, but you've achieved nothing. And I felt really rubbish. And then I had that one call. And at the end of the call, I was like, I hope this helped. Good luck. And then I just felt, well, good. And it made me kind of think, like, doing something nice, it selfishly makes you feel good, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Like helping, I do think that helping people, that's one of the things that gives you the most. If you think you've genuinely helped someone, it gives you such a positive feeling. It's people sometimes like, oh yeah, help these people. It's so selfless. It's like, I've never helped someone and just thought, oh, that was all right. You always feel like, oh, I'm a good person.
Is there such thing as a selfless act? Is that Is there?
I don't think so, because I think it's impossible.
Because even if you like donated to charity anonymously and never told anyone, intrinsically you still know you did it, so you feel a bit of good. Good.
Because that's why I wanted to, like I said in the intro, I haven't mentioned my charity work in a while, so I wanted to talk about that, because I think if anyone hasn't like volunteered or done something like that, I would really, really, really urge you to do it. And it's an absolute ball ache. And what I did last year over the winter was every Sunday evening. So at the end of your weekend, when there's nothing you want less than to leave the house, I was like, oh, okay, I'll go in there. And I did feel like that. But once you do, and you help people,
and when you video it and put it on social media,
once you tell everyone, I'm a great person. Oh, where am I going? Oh, just volunteering. Why'd you ask?
Lloyd did one of those videos where he's handing someone homeless a $5.
I would never do that.
No, you wouldn't really.
But yeah,
that's you did always, like, you still always talk about, like you mentioned, you've signed up to do it again this year and how excited you got.
The feeling. I sent off my form to be a volunteer this year for the homeless shelter again, and it did make me think, I want to talk about it, because just filling out that form, I was so excited, and I thought, this is weird, but I want other people to
experience it.
Yeah, and also just for COVID-y reasons, homeless charities and stuff and winter shelters are really struggling this year. So if anyone can donate to their local homeless shelter or anything like that, it's a real struggle because it's costing about 10 times as much to do the normal stuff because people have to be in their own space and all that sort of thing. So yeah, please do that. If you're in Thanet, please donate to the Thanet Winter Shelter.
Let's add a link somewhere.
Yes.
Link on screen.
If you're in Australia or something, like some of our listeners are, then probably not relevant to you, but you've probably got a local one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, interesting. It's interesting what makes you happy, isn't it?
We've spoken about this quite a lot throughout different episodes, haven't we?
Well, I think it's important. And I think also we have, well, especially me, because I'm an emotional wreck.
No, you're not an emotional wreck.
It is a bit of a journey on being happy and working out what makes you happy.
I think one of the best things we do is constantly analyse ourselves and talk about it with each other. And because I think if you're just in your own head of thinking, am I happy? What things it's quite nice to be able to like we go on walks and stuff, don't we, and talk about stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So if any of our listeners ever want to chat, you know where we are.
Message Lloyd.
Yeah, message me. It will take me 4 or 5 days to actually go on social media and read it, but eventually I'll get there. Cool. Anything else you want to discuss today in this episode, Dan?
I just think if anyone finds this useful or likes the podcast, please let your friends know about it.
Yeah. Oh, I think that too.
Yeah, because cool. I want us to get in the charts again, selfishly.
Okay.
So
cool. Right. This episode of the Business Anchors podcast has been brought to you by an emotional wreck. You're welcome. Thanks for listening, guys. See you in episode 23.